So many folks navigating the industry feel lost and alone, and it can be scary. But today we're going to go deep. We're going to answer your questions. So, what I did was something a little different because I was really feeling the high and the excitement of the weekend talking to everybody at CAS and MPSC. I'm still recovering my voice here. I decided to send a blast to my email list. And if you're not already in my email list, friend, go join. I don't know what you're waiting for. masteringpostproductionsound.com/join us, or you just click the link below. I'll leave it for you. But I sent an email to my list and say, hey, let's jump on. Let's talk. We want to answer your questions. Let's hop on. So that's what today's going to be. Today's going to be a replay of that. And I'm going to guarantee you right now, there's information in this clip, in this video, that's going to help you because you are also represented in these calls. So let's jump in. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. My name is Joel. If we haven't met, just let me know in the comments or in the chat there, where are you watching from? Just so I know. Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I love that. So the reason I'm doing this is I really had an awesome time this weekend at CAS and MPSC Golden Reels. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna, someone's on lunch. Oh, lunch break. Yes. Oh yeah. All right. I love that. Henry's on a lunch break and he's during a dubbing session. All right. Good luck. You run when you gotta run. Okay. But as people trickle in here, hi Lewis. Go ahead and leave in the comments where you're watching from, Lewis. I just wanted to jump on and not only just share my experience over the weekend, but also provide a space and see how this goes. You know, maybe we'll do more of this in the future. To kind of give back in a sense. A lot of the conversations that I had over the weekend were not only great conversations to reconnect with old friends, because that's the thing about awards weekend. The thing about awards weekend is, yes, we're celebrating the best in sound mixing, the best in sound editing. But for a lot of us who've been navigating the industry for quite some time, it's like a reunion. Like we get to see our old friends that we've grown up with. I mean, people that we've journeyed with, people we've looked up to. That's a whole nother thing. Every year that I've attended either an MPSC Golden Reel Awards show or a CAS, Cinema Audio Society Awards show, you get introduced to different circles because here's the truth. The truth is that there are different circles of influence, inner circles, outer circles within the main circle of the industry. And so every year that passes by, I've noticed that, look it, we met last year, let's talk again. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and you continually grow and build these relationships. So throughout the process from last week, the Tone Benders meetup, CAS, MPSCs, I was blown away at how many people came up to me and just was like, just said, Joel, thank you. You don't know me, just want to say hi. Thank you so much for sharing because your videos have impacted me in some way, whether it was encouragement, advice, I learned something from you, and it just meant like the world to me. And so I just wanted to say thank you, publicly. And I said, you know what, let me open this up. And just fair warning, like I told you, if you don't want to, this might end up on YouTube. Okay, so this is your warning. Get out now. No, but all joking aside, I figured I'd open up just to some questions, whether it's based on career kind of assessment, journeying, any kind of roadblock that you're hitting right now. But I just want to open that up. Does that sound okay to you guys? If it sounds okay, thumbs up. We good? We like that? All right. Awesome. And like I said, if this sounds good, if this goes well, we'll throw it up on YouTube and we might do it again. Lewis, welcome. Watching from Vancouver. Awesome. All right, Vancouver. I love that. Nice to meet you. Okay, so what we'll do, and we don't know, we'll keep it open for whatever feels right. It might be half an hour, might be an hour, who knows? As people can trickle in here, I might kind of introduce or let them know what we're talking about. But this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and if you have a question, use the gestures, or rather raise your hand, right? Raise your hand and we can go ahead, you can introduce yourself really quickly, but then, my question is this, and then we can kind of dive into that. Does that sound okay? Will that work? Cool. All right. Henry, first one. I love it. Hold on one second. Let's do this. Yep, we're going to go. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Henry,
Um,
hello. Welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for
Um,
hopping in here.
Hello everyone.
What's your
My name is Henry
question?
Maynard. I'm a sound editor, recording mixer in LA. Um, and yeah, like my question is like right now how the industry is slow here in Hollywood area. And I've been sending emails to supervisors and like other facilities. Um, like what do you normally do to like just try and continue to build relationships and connections even though like you haven't heard
Yeah.
back from the people that you've emailed?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that we talk a good deal about in either my coaching program, my inner circle. But I always go back to creating those authentic relationships. Now, there's one method, right, which is just continue to just email, reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out. And eventually what ends up happening, right? You either hit a dead end, nobody's answering those emails, nobody wants to do anything. And so there's a couple things that come into play. Well, number one, first, it's the law of averages, right? So law of averages is always going to say, as you increase your output, the chances of something showing up, whether it's in business, sales calls, or whatnot, are going to increase, right? So they're like, well, how many doors did you go knock on today? Only 10. Well, okay, that's why you didn't sell anything. Or but the person that goes to 100 or 1,000, right? Chances are they're better set up to get one of those yeses. So what I like to do, and I like to kind of approach it, is I like to the gamification of it, right? There's this idea that every no gets you closer to your yes. And so one of the real easy things to do, this is what I like to kind of tell folks, is create a relationship online. Most of these people you're not going to have access to unless you're part of, an association like MPSC, CAS, Television Academy, where you can get into the rooms with those memberships, and literally the people you want to talk to are right there. But then again, that's a whole nother story, right? Going up to them, they don't know who you are, and you're like asking for a job. Like, what does this person want from me, right? So I'm all about playing the long game. The long game. I'm talking the long game. And you start hey, do these people have a social media presence? If they do, follow them on Instagram, follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on whatever is available to them. Did you guys know that Randy Tom is on Threads and he posts constantly? Like it just blurt it out. And I'm like, you want to have a conversation? Go try to make friends there. And I'm serious. Now, but here's the thing. Most people are looking for a job. That's the thing, right? And rightfully so. I get it, right? I understand that. But if we shift the conversation and the mindset to one of relational versus transactional, that's where the thing starts to change. And that's where you start putting your deposits, onto the credit side of things as to opposed to taking them out. And so a lot of this combines social, it's a hard word to say today, social media interaction, right? Start easy, give them a heart, give them a thumbs up, right? And eventually what you'll find is there will be a moment for you to connect. You might even find yourself, oh my gosh, time has passed and I worked on a credit that person worked on. Case in point, this was years ago, when I was a mix tech, when I was a recordist, I worked on a good number of, not transfers, laybacks, okay? This is back when we used to have to lay back the master to the tape. And so I would be responsible for taking the audio, and we did a lot of that, a lot of engineering / kind of recorded stuff. And I worked on a title, and I remember they did the work up at Skywalker. And so, I was itching for credits back then. I didn't have many. And so, I got to put my name on there as, uncredited layback engineer, right? You do whatever you can when you're trying to get those credits, right? And so fast forward to sharing online, building a career, now posting stuff regularly, or in the beginning, really. And I was like, wait a second, let's
let me connect with this mixer. And it just happened to be this big mixer at Skywalker. We shared a credit because he actually mixed the film and I was the layback engineer. And so eventually I was able to say, hey, we have a shared credit. And guess what? That right there opened the conversation. Oh, I see. Because you don't know what they're doing on their side, right? You also don't know what their lives are like. And that's another thing that has to be said. We have to understand that on the other side of an email, on the other side of a DM, of a comment, or whatever, is a real human being, a real person with life going on. I got 4 kids. I got a busy life. I'm juggling 2 TV shows right now too, and running, a small YouTube channel. Life is busy. So I can't tell you how many emails and people they get fallen through the cracks. So understanding that on the other side of that too, there's some human aspect, give grace. And so this person I'm talking about, I think it's fair that he can remain nameless here, but that connection was made. And I kid you not, it wasn't until, I want to say this was like maybe 2 award seasons ago, lo and behold, we were sitting at the same dinner table. And so we got to really go deep then. It was like, oh my God. And by this point, he had already been seeing my content. He'd already been seeing that. We're following each other on many of the platforms. And then it builds to a different relationship so that even like this last weekend, we're talking, we're enjoying, we're congratulating, blah, blah, blah. So there are several different ways, but I think the biggest thing to understand is to not get discouraged by it, because that's the thing. You're not meant to work with everybody. You're not meant to have relationships with everybody. This is the same with me. I've had the same experience. I've reached out to professionals, people that if I told you right now, every single person would know who these people are. Nothing. Crickets, right? And in the end, I have to think and accept really that, okay, I'm just not meant to work with that person or connect to that person, in that way. But again, it always goes back to, are we willing to play the long game? And let me just tell you, like, as the very human aspect of things can get desperate. We can feel like, oh my God, I'm at the end of my rope, and nobody is reaching, or, I'm reaching out, nobody's responding. And then we kind of start going into these tactics that start to, go onto the side of transactional interactions as opposed to relational. And to this point, Henry, because I think this is a fantastic question. And it's one that a lot of research can be done. There's no right way to do it. But I will say in my own experience that playing the long game in these relational kind of interactions is always on your side. I had a colleague who reached out a while ago, and I talk about flattery. Letting that person know right away, hey, I enjoy your work. I'm a huge fan of it. That's all. Just wanted to say hi. It's the interaction that said, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I want from you, right? Which is pass my resume on. I'm available for this or that. That's when it starts to become one of those things where it's like, okay, there's a lot going on, the human aspect. I'm juggling this, I'm doing that. So if you understand that you're slowly putting in these little drops into the bucket of relational. You like the post, you comment on the post, and then at some point, your gut will tell you, okay, now's the right time because we've had enough interaction or connection to possibly shoot my shot, get out there, and kind of do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, But yeah, given this day and age, the way that industry has transitioned the last couple years, everything is reliant on who you're connected to. So I often say it's all about who you know, but more importantly, who knows you. Because who knows you is almost 10 times more important, because my phone rings because from people, supervisors, directors, producers, post supervisors, who know my name and know my reputation, right? And then we can go on to whole things about, well, are you building credibility? What's going on there? Your work ethic, stuff like that. But what I would say to anybody who is in a similar situation wondering, just like Henry had asked, it's a long game. And that's the same thing with this industry. Like, the industry is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, I'll talk to someone who says, I've been trying for the last 2 years and nothing. I'm like, 2 years? What did you just say? 2 years, right? And recently I posted something about what Harrison Ford said when he got his Lifetime Achievement Actors Award. He said, for 13 years, it might have been 15 years, for 13 or 15 years, I struggled as an actor, going to auditions, doing the things, going back to carpentry, until he finally landed his first gig, you know, his big gig in Star Wars. And then the rest was history. And so if someone in that kind of vein of discipline, right, being an actor at that level, it's just the beginning. And so then comes into play is this idea of perseverance, you know, and that's a whole nother thing. It's like, yeah, well, okay, we're in for the long game. I don't know if that's helped you at all, Henry. I don't know if that's answering any questions, but getting in the rooms is another huge way to do that. If you can find your way into any of those mixers, any kind of networking events, if you're not part of MPSC, you know, Motion Picture Sound Editors, or Cinema Audio Society, or the Television Academy, there are associate memberships that you can go and check out and see how they qualify. And those associate members, they may not have voting rights. They can't vote for the Emmys. They can't vote for the CAS Awards or MPSC Golden Reels, but they can attend and be on the email list to get into those rooms. So a couple things there. I hope it's helpful. I hope I answered your question. Do you feel like it's a little helpful there in that sense? Good question, because you can unmute if you, sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Excellent.
It was the right answers and all that. And yeah, like I am I am a associate member of the CAS and a full member of MPSC.
Okay, great. Okay, so are you going to those events? Do you get those invitations and stuff like that?
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
Okay, good. Awesome. Well, then you're doing it, right? And this
Yeah.
is just a matter of time, and it's a matter of law of averages,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of, you know, you start to then, how do you make an impression with somebody? Because here's the deal. Here's another thing that goes without saying. On our mix stages, we spend a lot of time with each other, okay? We spend more time with those we're dubbing with than our families at times, okay? Are you a good hang? Are you somebody that gets along with people well? Or are you that person that is kind of like annoying, kind of a jerk, kind of mean? Nobody wants that. I know this is like elementary, kind of very simple concepts, but I'm telling you the truth. Like, this is what matters, right? Having the social skills, having the soft skills, right? The hard skills, those go without saying. You must know how to edit, or, you know, oh, I want this, you know, can we futz it more? Yeah, sure, no problem. You gotta be able to futz that more, okay? You gotta be able to do the things and provide a good soundtrack. But it really, what gets you hired the next time is, what's that interaction like, right? I did a film back in August with new directors, first time meeting them. And you better believe that by the end of working together, I knew that I threw everything in there so that when the opportunity comes again, they could say, oh yeah, Joel, I would love to work with him again. Because that's the thing you want to do. You want to be able to create a memory. We're in the client service relationship, or industry rather. That's what we do. We service our clients, our filmmakers. It's like if you went into a restaurant, you sat down and ordered a meal. Was the server attendant? Did you have to take your food back because it was cold? You found something? Think about that. We've all had those, you know, very terrible experiences. But when you have an experience, service was amazing. I didn't have to ask for a refill. Food came out and it was even better than I thought. And the wait staff and everybody was just so welcoming. I am definitely going to go back. Or you're going to tell your friends. That's the same thing. Just transpose that to what we do in sound. Man, Henry was awesome to work with. He had fantastic demeanor. He was a great conversationalist, and his work was awesome. Those are the winning combinations to things, right? kind of went off on a tangent there. So, but I hope it's helpful. Thanks for the question, Henry. Appreciate you. Okay, so anybody else? We have a few more folks who have arrived. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from, if you just joined in, and also if you have a question, please raise your hand. You could say who you are, and then just tell me my question is this. Okay, I saw Mason. Mason, go ahead.
Hello, Joel. I think I can speak for us all when I say your content is very helpful. Thank you for making it. And my question is, if you are a complete beginner in this industry, would you say that it is a good idea to purchase Pro Tools Studio and download a few movie clips to redesign them in order to gain experience?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now, right? The industry standard in what we do is Pro Tools, right? So I think it behooves you to know it, right? Does it mean that anybody who's watching or anybody who's ever, done things cannot practice in whatever DAW that they have, right? So my go-to is always going to be learn Pro Tools, right? Now, about downloading clips and doing whatever, look it, friend, I think this is a fantastic idea, because here's the thing. You don't get the experience until you get the experience, right? So you're not going to get on those projects, those movies, those shows, those games, whatever, without really building a resume of work. So I think it's a fantastic tool to use by grabbing clips, doing redesigns, and posting your work. Like, however, look, we all see it. We all see everybody's redesigns posting on YouTube or LinkedIn or Instagram, right? Do the same thing. The way you get better at mixing movies, at mixing TV shows, anything, is you do more of it. So if that is the option you have and that's where you're at, whether you're in audio school, recently graduated, making a transition to post-production sound, heck yeah, get as many reps as you can, because here's the deal. The only other option, like I said, is you get hired to do it, whether it's a short film or whatnot, right? Just go and do it, this is an interesting comment. A comment real fast, a chat. Cheryl says, download my template or Thomas Boykins and go explore. Yeah, go find other people out there who have tools available, things available. Like, I have a template. Go grab it, that kind of shows you the workflow. And I think it's definitely going to help you. Absolutely. And then you get feedback from people. Like, if you have the courage to post it and say, hey, I'm trying to learn, like, I would take anything. That's huge. I mean, think about that, right? You never know who's going to watch or listen to your stuff. Like, that's the beautiful thing about it. You have no idea. So do I think it's a great idea? Absolutely. 100%. Especially because unless you have a short film to actually to work on, what do you have? You don't have anything. So go out there. People do it all the time. My redesign of this gameplay or whatever, And I'm going to tell you, like, there's a handful of people that I've seen post stuff like to socials that I'm like, man, that is good. And I'm telling you, you just never know who's gonna watch it. I hope that answered your question. Did it answer? Thank you, Mason.
100%. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And I appreciate your words. They're very kind. It means the world. Appreciate that. All right, I see Lewis. So go ahead, Lewis.
Joel, firstly, I just want to say a big thank you for the work that you do. I've actually been following your channel way back to when I was working at Warner Bros. Delay Lee in London with Chris Burden.
Oh, nice.
So since then, I've relocated to Vancouver to work here in Hollywood North.
Hollywood North.
Yeah, in Hollywood North.
Let's call it what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Funny, I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, my biggest question is, what is your number one strategy for getting involved in a new project during those quiet periods of being in between productions?
Oh, that's a real good question. And so you're talking about kind of like those lull moments where you're like waiting for the next thing. Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I find, and again, I can only answer this how I would handle it, given if I was in that situation. And this is what I do in between those times, is I connect. Hey, what are you doing next week? You want to grab lunch on this day and this day? Like I went to MPSC's and I had a light week this day and I was like, hey, I have this and they on my calendar. Let's reach out. So on those times when I'm not doing something, I'm always thinking about one, keeping the relationship alive, or two, hey, oh my gosh, it was awesome to talk. Let me buy you dinner. And usually that's somebody who's more on the inner circle of, it's not like a shot in the dark. It's somebody who I've either worked with in the past or had some kind of introduction, and I feel like, okay, my gut tells me it's okay to do this. But it's definitely a lot more difficult when you're in it. When you're in it, I know when I'm in it. When I'm in it and I got to work and I'm like getting on the road at 6:30 so I can get there for a 9 o'clock start and then fighting traffic 2 hours to get back home, that's the last thing I'm thinking about right now is networking, right? But sometimes you have to, well, not sometimes, all the time. We're just going to say all the time, you have to be looking forward to, I know this ends here. I'm going to have some time in between here. Unless I can fill that with a gig or something, then I know that my next available time is going to be right here. And I'm going to connect it with so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, right? So reaching out, maintaining relationships, connecting with new relationships is something that I'm personally always doing. Now, doesn't mean you can't do other things. You could do, for some folks where this would apply, man, that would be their time to spruce up their website or fill up their IMDb credits, do the things that sometimes they get pushed to the wayside, more of the administrative kind of things, right? But again, I'm always going to go back to, how can I see more people? I'm a people person, right? And I know that that's the way it works, especially in post sound, right? It's always relational. So it's like, who can I get in front of? Who can I continue to build that relationship? Because it really comes down to then, what did I say the other day? I was just like, hey, let's get together. Look, I did not want a job. It's like, oh, shut up. You want a job. Come on. But no, I was like, no, seriously. I just want to connect, because you realize, oh man, I love the people that I get to work with, the people I get to call friends and colleagues. So that's what I would probably be doing during those times. I hope that's helpful, Lewis.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you for that. I've noticed there's a real similarity between your process in finding projects and also the other guys like Chris Burden and Ron Bartlett. They're always hustling, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like it. So
always hustling. The phone is either ringing or it's not, right? And that really is based on what are you doing on the times that you're not working. Always working an angle, always working a relationship. And I say angle, and I don't want that to sound slimy, okay? Because there's definitely slime out there, right? For lack of a better word. Authentic, right? Relational. It's a huge thing. You're going to find more and more, as a lot of these folks like Chris and Ron and the rest of the bigs, it's always about that relationship and how that filmmaker, the producers, the post supervisors, the people at the facilities, right? How they interact, how they feel. There's confidence there. And I'm telling you, you can be, I hate to say this, you can be a mediocre sound designer, a mixer, you get the job done, but you have fantastic people skills, forget it. Forget it. Like, how are they always getting the gigs? They're always staying connected and making that other person feel like they're going to do everything in their power to make sure their film sounds amazing, get the right crew together, get the ego out of the way, and really put the filmmaker and the project number one. So, yeah, good stuff, Lewis. Appreciate you. That's awesome. All right, any other questions? Who else has a question? Let's see. Raise your hand. Oh, Jonathan.
Oops.
I don't have the right view here, but Jonathan, I saw you raise your hand.
Yes, thank you. And thanks for doing this.
How are you, Jonathan?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. I'm wondering about listening strategies, like as we're all watching and listening recreationally to so many projects.
Yeah.
I was hoping you could talk a little bit about just sort of fun ways to listen to other people's projects.
Okay.
Yeah, something along those lines.
So, and you're talking just in general, and anything like how I enjoy watching my films, music, TV shows, things like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking this is the kind of work that we do professionally,
Yes.
but then we're just bombarded with all kinds of things that we enjoy and like are watching and listening. And
That's
are
great.
there fun or even genres that we maybe aren't so used to? Like, are there fun ways that you listen to or that people who are trying to learn more about this
Sure.
industry could listen?
Yeah, that's a good way. Gosh, listening. Let's talk about that for a second. So there are there's a couple things. I'll tell you how I listen in my process, and it may either answer or not. But obviously, when I'm working on content, when I'm working on things that are in the air or be released, I'm listening when I work. I'm listening to the best kind of environment. I'm either in a Dolby Atmos environment, a 5.1 setup, 7.1. So I'm listening to highly calibrated, properly calibrated rooms, the best quality you can. One of the things to understand about translation is that my job is when I am working on a film, a TV show, a doc, or whatever, it's always going to sound the best here. At this point, once it goes out into the world, I have no control over how the consumer is going to listen. Because the guys, some of the guys that have been in this industry for a long time, they're like, this is the size of the speaker people are listening to now these days, right? It's so tiny, but we mix these in these huge setups. We want to make sure it sounds the best on opening night, premiere night, preview night, whatever it is, and then outside of it, it is what it is. But I enjoy listening. I have a 5.1 home setup at home, so it's just something that if I'm going to watch, here's the deal. Here's the admission. I must admit, I don't watch everything in 5.1 at home. Sometimes I just turn the TV on and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get whatever's coming out of the TV. Because it might be just, a documentary or something that doesn't pique my interest when it comes to how I'm going to treat this as a learning experience. I like to sit and watch movies or content to either enjoy and just have something to kind of entertain me, or I'll put my listening ears on. And anytime I'm like, okay, I know so-and-so worked on this mix, so-and-so worked on that, I'm gonna learn right now. And so I will fire up the 5.1 and I will kick it up and I'll make sure that I'm listening to everything nice and loud right there, sitting in my sweet spot so I can hear what they did. And that's usually, now it's not gonna be the best environment. I mean, I'm at my house, my kids are running around, whatever, but it's gonna be closer to than just listening on the TV. Now, believe it or not, sometimes I have listened to things when I off my phone in my car, and it has a pretty decent, sound system in there, and it sounds amazing too. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. Because here's the thing, when you listen, depending on where it's coming from, whether it's being broadcast, which is it's streaming, Apple versus Hulu, different kinds of compression, different kinds of things, it'll sound a little bit different. I mean, we had a showrunner, we went through a project that it sounded different on Fox, it sounded different on Apple, Hulu, it was iTunes, and it was like we had to explain the process. Unless you're mixing specifically for this and you have the time and the budget, it's going to be a little different. So earbuds are something that I use too. I'll listen to my earbuds. It's fun to kind of hear the technology, what they do now, like with the Apple, the spatial audio and things like that. But I've listened to stuff on that, and it's, I get the idea. It's not my main choice to listen, or just a pair of headphones, stuff like that. But listening for me is a very important tool, because what it does is I'm able to then look at people that I admire and I know, I'm like, how did they do that? That's pretty cool. Now I can try to, I want to try that next time. And then when the time comes up, I can use that. But again, listening for me kind of comes in different ways. I've listened to my iPhone, I listened to my car, I listened to my earbuds, my headphones, my studio monitors on the stage. So it just kind of varies. So again, like I said, I don't know if I answered your question, but it's something that kind of just happens when it does, What's been your experience when it comes to listening?
Oh, well, like you're describing, it comes up in
Situational.
surprising moments.
Yeah.
Something that jumps out on even a type of show that I wouldn't have even thought has something that I was interested in. I'm surprised at this person who did something this way, and
Oh,
just kind of
yes.
want to learn more.
Yeah, and that's another thing. When you listen to, I've also had mixes where I was like, oh, interesting. I wouldn't have done it that way, right? Like maybe I have a little bit of a critique. Having more time now on this side of it, this side of the console, it's allowed me to grow in that respect and understand that oftentimes it's not the mixer who's responsible for that, but often the filmmaker who's pushing them to do it in a direction. You know, there was, and I have no problem admitting this publicly, but there was a very popular movie back in the day about space and not hearing the dialogue, and it was Interstellar, right? And I remember being like at the time, and this is my admission of growth as a mixer and as a professional. At the time, I was working on a series called Cosmos and it was about space, and it was like all this stuff. And I remember watching the screen. I'm like, oh man, did something happen? Like, was something wrong with the print, or because it was real hard to hear the dialogue here and stuff and whatnot. And I remember it was my ego, totally my ego, right? I was like, oh, I'm a young mixer. I'm like, oh, what's going on? But then you realize as you spend more time in this business, that so much comes from the direction of our filmmaker. And now that time has passed and you hear more conversation, like actually that's the way Chris Nolan wanted those scenes to play. Because sometimes in real life, you don't get all the words. When things are going crazy and you're blasting into space, you're not gonna hear everything. And that sometimes, well, all the time, it goes back to the vision and to our filmmakers' storytelling. Our job, my job, is to make sure that I'm telling that story. And sometimes it might mean, hey, we're gonna play it like this, and where we don't hear a few things, because this is the most important thing. And that was a huge lesson for me to learn. Because let's face it, we all have egos, right? We all have egos. And I've learned how to slowly walk away and understand, like, hey, my way is not always the best way, and I can learn from other people. So I hope it's been helpful, Jonathan.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming, Henry. I see your thing. Okay, does anybody else want to raise their hand and ask a question? So good to see so many of you here. Let's take a look who else we have here. We have Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Another fellow Canadian there. Awesome. Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, I'll see you guys later. Thanks a lot. No. Oh, I love it. Let's see. Lewis, you have another question, Lewis? I love it.
Yes, a lot of questions.
Go for it. No, let's do it.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, have you seen any differences in the way that like sound re-recording mixers like network in the US compared to any other part of the world?
That's a good question, and you could probably educate me more than what happened across the pond when you were there. But from my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lewis. It sounds like from my interaction with folks and what I've understood about the way things happen in London is you want to get in with a sound supervisor's crew. And sometimes it's real difficult to get into that crew, and people are often fighting to try, because if you're not part of that person's crew, then it's almost like, well, good luck, right?
Sure.
Is that a fair assessment almost of
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. I feel like there's a little bit more leniency when it comes to that rule here, like at least in the States.
Interesting.
Oftentimes, now let me preface that by saying there are definitely supervisors out here that only want to use their crew as well. That's hands down. Same thing with filmmakers, directors will have a tendency to always have the same mixers. You know, I think about James Mangold, and I think his crew. Is his crew Paul Massey and Dave Gianmarco? I think so. I'll correct myself, later if I need to. But you typically create a relationship with the director, and you're go to. I think it's a little bit more open out here in the sense that if you're doing the right things and you're building those relationships with folks, you have a higher probability of getting that opportunity when there's overflow, when there's scheduling conflicts. I have definitely been the recipient of getting phone calls and emails because first person on call wasn't available, and I'm like, hey, I'm just glad to be considered in it. I don't care if I was the second, first, or 10th. That's fine. I got to be part of that. And I think again that goes to building those relationships, which I think is always real key. But yeah, not as far as what I've heard, I haven't heard much from up north other than obviously we have a lot of work that has been trying to, have moved up there for a multitude of reasons, right? Whether it's budgets, productions wanting to really, spend less money nowadays. But again, I don't have a ton of experience of stuff that happens up there in Toronto. But again, I do not believe that not paying attention to relationships is something that you would want to leave out, right? It's just like your arsenal of tools. You always want to be creating, no matter where you're at, right? Because even in London, it's like, find that person, do whatever you got to do to be influential in a way that might get their attention, and then you can build from that. And it might not happen overnight, but it'll take time. So those are a few thoughts. So you have something else to add?
Yeah, that's very much like the observation that I'm kind of seeing also. It's like to get into some of the post houses here, they all asked me who I knew, and thankfully I knew somebody that they knew back in London. So that's what got me.
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah.
Beautiful.
So but yeah, thank you.
I love
very
that.
much.
Now here's another thing that I didn't I'm just remembering now that could be useful when it comes to that aspect. Reaching out to those we know. Now, they may not have something for us or a connection right away, but asking for help is huge because people want to be helpful. And when they're asked specifically, hey, I would love your help. I'm relocating and I'm looking for connections for new projects and, or it can be anything. Like times are tough and I'm looking for help right now to try to secure something. If you can't help me, is there anybody, I would love, I'd be honored to be front of mind in case somebody comes to you, would you recommend that, And oftentimes you're going to find right away that these folks are either going to be able to help you, or if they can't, they'll say, I don't got nothing right now, but you absolutely better believe I'm going to keep you in mind and pass your name along to those who might be looking for somebody. That's definitely something people want to be asked for help. Unless they're just real evil, mean-spirited people. That's kidding. Just kidding.
Thank you so much, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate that. Steven. Hello, Steven.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So I'm literally doing my taxes right now, so I'm like, I'll just jump on and see how
taxes, real exciting stuff over there, right?
It's like receipts. It's great. Good to see you.
You too.
Question for you.
Yeah.
This might be off topic though.
No, nothing's off topic.
In your contracts, what stuff that you have you added in that most people don't add in? Like I'm redoing my contract right now. To send out to independent filmmakers and all that jazz, and I'm adding like copyright infringement. Well, I've noticed, for instance, short films, a lot of them don't are educated on like copyrights. They download sound effects from YouTube, and I kind of have to like say I have to redo all that because you downloaded music and sound effects from YouTube, and they don't get that. So I put in like a clause saying like third-party licenses and all that jazz. What type of stuff do you add in yours? That
well, typically it's just making sure that green M&Ms are the ones to send to me first. So no, I'm just kidding. I'll be real honest with you. I don't have to deal with a lot of contracts, honestly, because because the work comes to me. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't agreements that have to be put in place. Now here's where having a contract serves and has in the past served me well in the sense. It's at least an understanding that is written via email or something. Now, people may work in this capacity like you do, Stephen, right? Where contracts are a must, and go for it, absolutely, right? And definitely want to put things in there that are going to help you. And a lot of the times we learn on the job what needs to be put in there the next time because the client took advantage of this and that. And man, I really gotta say, 2 rounds of revisions and that's it. Or then you have to pay for extra time or whatever that number feels right. It could be 3, could be 4, could be 7, whatever you want to do. But one thing that has been helpful for me in the past has definitely been that nothing's going to be turned over until full payment is made. And so no stems, all your materials, you might have like a file that goes back and forth, like a stereo file that goes back and forth for review, if that's how you're working with your client remotely. But definitely I would put some kind of language that says, hey, payment is due upon receipt, right? And no stems are delivered. Full stems will be handed over once payment is made in full. And that came from personal experience of working on a film where I got screwed out of, it wasn't a ton of money. It was like $5,000, but $5,000 back then was like a lot. That was, man, that could do a lot for me. And it ended up being, I had to get some people involved, and, to this day, I never heard from that guy ever again. And just kind of ended up having to be, chalk it up to, just life and a life learned lesson, But I think it just depends. It depends on your situation, the type of clients that you work with, and you're going to kind of have a gut of what feels right, a sense in terms of like, hey, this always needs to be said, and sometimes this doesn't. Like this mention of not copyrighted material, things like that. Like I never would have thought of that, because in my world we never do that. We always have original music that comes in. Yes, the editors are using temp music, or the directors will use temp music, but it's always temp. It's going to be replaced. I will say, I did have experience once where a sound editor put in a bunch of sounds that I was like, this is saying, Transformers YouTube. I'm like, I'm not going to put that in. I don't know what's going on with this thing, because I know those folks over there. I'm like, this is interesting. But that was only once in my career. But again, contracts are not really an everyday thing for me. Mostly, again, for reference, because they're dealing with studios or production companies that are handling that stuff, and I'm more of a like a third-party vendor in that sense. So I don't know if it's completely helpful to you, Stephen, but I think it's a good question because it makes us think about things like that, especially for those of us who are working with contracts.
It was more of like tricks because I'm slowly adding stuff into it, like you said, the copyright things I've noticed, like YouTube or YouTube to mp3.com or whatever. And
yes, and
I'm like, this is like no for me.
Yeah. Well, and again, like I said, you're going to know that world more, and you can continue to evolve your contracts as they go. But here's another thing, like sometimes, and I don't know if this is your case or not, but it could be somebody's, and that's why I'm going to say it. Sometimes we can think about those contracts so much and spend so much time when honestly, just putting something really quick together, what's expected, what the payment's going to be, what you're going to get, boom, you're done, and that'll just kind of work for then until you kind of need to refine that. I mean, the only kind of AI I would talk about is like saying, hey, let's take my contract and put it into something like Claude or Gemini or I don't know if we could say ChatGPT these days, but and say, hey, I'm just looking for a solid contract to protect me from this, and that. And that's a real easy use of something that can help, lock down something and, maybe give you some ideas. But that's my experience with it. Does that help?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I was just more curious of what you've had in past, but lucky you don't have to deal with contracts because it is a pain. But I find I have to read people. I'm in this industry.
Yeah.
You have to read them. I'm getting pretty good at it. But once I shake someone's hand, I'm like kind of reading. Yeah. Do I need to do this full bore contract, or can I just do, like you said, a simple one pager or an email saying, "Hey, this is how it's going to cost"?
Yeah. Again, trust your gut. I think. I think experience will teach you that. Experience teaches us all that. There's been projects I'm like, gosh, I should have said that. I should have done that. Even when I thought a handshake or a quick little email was going to be the thing. And oftentimes I just chalk it up to, well, that was a learning experience and I'm definitely going to use that for the next time. So
Exactly.
yeah, good stuff, Stephen. Great to see you.
Great seeing you too.
All right. Any other questions? Anybody else have a burning desire to ask a question? Let's see. I'm going to make sure I have everybody here.
Hi, Joel.
Oh, hi, Clayton.
Hi.
Clayton, where are you from? You might have said it already in the chat.
From Curacao.
From Curacao.
In the Caribbean.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm going to tell you something just real personal right here, Clayton. I love that name, Clayton.
Thank you.
So much so that I named my last born, my number 4 kid, Clayton. So
okay.
I really mean
That's
it.
Nice. So I was wondering more on the technical side.
Okay.
More on, Pro Tools, Avid S6, I think the board is. Yeah. So how long does it take to master that? What's the learning curve? Some insights into it.
Yeah, honestly, when it comes to boards, right? So for the longest time, it took me a while.
Yes, does it have to be a board?
Does it have to be a board?
How long can you go without having to use the board?
Very good question.
It's very expensive add-on.
Yeah,
so.
I love this. Yes. So here's my take on it. So my experience with the S6 was it took me some time to get onto it. I remember when they were rolling them out and Avid was they were having like workshops. Hey, come check out the new S6. And I remember going by, and there were a couple colleagues of mine who went to China to check it out because we're like, okay, so this is the new thing. What is it like? And at that time, I was using a D command or like a DigiDesign icon for many years. And when I first transitioned to it, it was not, I didn't like it. I hated it because it was too slow. Everything I did on like an old DigiDesign icon and D command was so muscle memory. It was just right there. It was really quickly. I had a dedicated EQ knob so I can just grab. It was fast, and I would try to work through some of these sessions, and the software wasn't keeping up with how quickly I wanted to move around. It got better over time, but when it comes to like learning and mastery, okay, we're always going to be learning. I don't know everything about that board. I know what I need to know to get my job done, right? And for every person, it's going to be different because a board like the S6 is very customizable. You can do so many different things. You can map certain things. You can pretty map anything to anywhere pretty much. That's, it's very cool in that sense. But again, you just like any board, it's like as long as you know what this does, let's focus on this channel right here. You could do. You're gonna assign what you need. Okay, I got my sends here, I got my reverbs here, I got my panning window here, my knobs. Boom, good. That's what you need to know. Now, in terms of you get better as you put more time in, right? And that's the more you're working, the more you're on it. That is something that I've had a lot of folks who are like, hey, I really just want to learn the S6 and I want to get better at it. That's something that there's a need because the truth really is not everybody can afford to get an S6. Not everybody can afford to put, 5171 home, Atmos in their home studio, garage, bedroom, or whatever. So oftentimes you really don't get the opportunity to get your hands on something until you got hired at a facility. You then built trust and credibility. You worked hard. You worked on relationships, all these things to then get you into a position where like, oh, now you're a mix tech. Now you can actually touch the thing. You can get time and you can ask for time to work on the weekends or on your short films or whatever, right? So there's a whole, a lot of things that have to happen in order for you to actually get there. Now, you get whatever reps you can get in. If it's on a S1, it's on something else, an older thing, Phonics or whatever, Harrison, you do what you can do. Now, to your question about do you even need it, right? I'm always amazed when I hear these stories. There are a couple mixers in our business acclaimed mixers that don't use the faders. They don't even touch the faders. They don't even like them. I know of one mixer who's literally had the faders removed because this mixer is fully in the box. It's all clip gain, automated with, you know, his mouse, or, you know, some people use a stylus. You know, it amazes me. Now, that's not my experience, so I can't speak to that, but I do know that these particular mixers that I personally know of have made it work for themselves. And I'm talking about, you know, high acclaim, you know, Academy nominees and everything like that, like real high levels. So they've made it work, and they've been working that way for many years. So again, I don't think I'm ever going to advocate for like that's the approach to do it, because I'm a true believer that, hey, get your fingers on the faders, learn how to create movement with your faders, with your panning and things like that, because honestly, that's what's expected. You know, you get a little eyebrow raise when you're like, you don't, wait, what? They don't use the faders? You know, they wanted engineering to remove the faders? What? So I think it's good to learn the practice. And again, like anything, you just get better at it as you put the time in, you know? So I don't know if that answered your question, Clayton, but it's an interesting topic. It's really good. You know, I enjoy that. But again, I'm always going to advocate
because we know when you want to get into it, and then you start adding numbers. I mean, the speakers, the board.
Oh, sure.
I think the board is the biggest number in the equation, as far as I think I know.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, we can get our hands on a Pro Tools license.
Yeah.
You know, you can save some money and do it. But to get the board, and then you will have the room to be acoustically treated, etc., etc. It can get very expensive very fast.
Yeah.
Especially in my area, there's no post-production official. There's only one guy with a studio, but it's more on commercial works. But there's no real post-production studios here in the area. So it would take, for me, for example, to go out in the States or somewhere else to get my hands on the faders.
I see. Yeah, and that's a great that's a great point that you bring up, because that's a beautiful thing about being able to share on YouTube and online now, is that I've been able to talk to folks all over the world, literally all over the world. And depending on your situation, your area, it does vary, because it's not lost on me, Clayton, that we do get the opportunity out here in LA to go to work every day. And we are working on state of the art, you know, technology and you know what, it is a standard in Hollywood and in the world for a reason, right? That is why the best kind of stuff is coming out of the studios out here, and it's the stuff that we look at, we admire, we want to aspire to. So yeah, everything's going to be based on your situation. Hey, if in your area nobody has those and everyone's trying to make what they can work there, then that's the gig, right? Until the opportunity opens up where you're like, yes, maybe we can add this. How does it work with our workflow? Because you're right, then it comes into, you know, do you have the space to properly build that out? The acoustics, the monitoring and everything. So again, everything's gonna be situational. You know, everything's gonna be situational. It's like, what is the end product, where it's gonna be? If the end product is to mix and deliver a fully mixed soundtrack for theatrical release across, you know, 1,300 theaters domestically, or, you know, for us in the States, then obviously, yeah, you're gonna have to go a place with that. But if that's not the end goal, and the end goal is like, hey, we're only doing stereo mixing right now for short films, documentaries, you know, feature-length films, indie films like that, and only a 2-track matters, only a stereo left and right, then your approach is gonna be completely different than somebody who's working and has to deliver an Atmos mix, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. So you work with what you have. You know, obviously your situation's what your situation is, you know, and hey, but who knows? Why not aspire to be that go-to in Curacao? Yeah, Clayton's got a awesome studio that he's built out. It's a 5-1 studio, and yeah, he's working on a small artist series or something, but he's working, man, and his mixes sound awesome. But in the meantime, until you work into that, you know, you're making your mixes sound great the way you can, you know? That's it. Yeah, man, I love that. I love that question, Clayton. It's great.
Yes, that's nice.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Thank you, everybody. I don't know if we have any last burning desires for questions, because I know we're up against it here, and I really appreciate everybody who's taken the time to ask a question, because here's the deal. Your questions can potentially help so many different people. So, well, I just want to say thank you to all those who hopped on this very last minute experimental opportunity here. So you bring joy to my life. You know, I love working with people. I love being around people. And so if this has been helpful for you, you know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful you're here. And if any of this working in this space, this is something that I do. And I just want to take a moment to personally invite you. If you like this, there's an opportunity to join my inner circle. It's working together on a monthly capacity like this at a fraction of the cost what it works to work one-on-one with me. But if that's something you want to explore, that's always available, okay? But thank you so much, everybody, for being here. It really means a lot. I'm hoping and wishing that you guys have a fantastic rest of the week. And I guess I will bid you adieu.
I'd like to add something there,
go ahead. Hold on, Steven, go ahead.
Well, sales pitch for you, Joel. I did the one-on-one session for, I can't remember, for like a year.
We did it for some time.
And it was the best. He helped me out a lot. It's cool that he's doing like the group sessions type stuff.
Thank you, Steven. I did not pay Steven to say that, okay?
No, he did not. He did not. I'll tell you that right now. He did not pay me for that. And also I was thinking, because the networking thing, maybe we can put all of our Instagram handles in the chat and we can follow each other and see each other.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Absolutely. If you guys feel comfortable with doing that, you know, and definitely go follow Steven. Steven is definitely killing it over there. I see him, like the level of activity that he's been creating for himself. You definitely want to go check his stuff out and follow him. But
thank you.
Appreciate the words, Steven.
Also, yeah, you have a new customer from here in Vancouver. Also, I wanted to sign up a very long time ago, but because of family and everything, I had to be careful. So, man, thank you so much.
I love that. Oh, Lewis, that's awesome, brother. I appreciate you all. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And I see all you guys, you lurkers there. I see you. Jason, Abe, Brooke, Jeffrey. You may not be able to be on and you're listening. Thanks for hopping on and saying hi. I'm glad that this worked. And thanks for all the people who dropped a question and really had the courage to. Here's the one thing I want to leave you with all. I want to leave you with this. Okay? The idea popped in my head today. Whatever reason it was, I said, you know, this is something I want to do. I'm just going to try this. Nobody could have clicked on the link, but you decided to click on the link. And what that says to me is that you are a person of action. And that goes a long way to wherever you are, because we're all different levels and all different walks of life here. But the truth remains that it takes courage to say, hey, you know, I'm going to put myself out there. Sure, I'm going to click. I don't know what this is. It could be a bunch of mumbo jumbo, whatever, right? But you did it. And so I just want to give you a round of applause, because I believe that it's action takers who are the ones who make the difference. So you have to always remember that nobody cares if you work in this industry. That's a harsh reality. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you're working. Nobody cares if you don't have a job or how long you haven't worked. But you must be your own advocate. You must be the one who says, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do this. There are going to be hard days. Yes, there are, right? But today, I applaud you because you took action. You said, you know what? I'm going to go join that and see what's up with that. So proud of you all. Thank you, everyone. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. I see your hearts. I see your hearts. I'll give you a heart there too. Thank you. You guys rock. All right, my friends. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you the next time.